Okay, so the pattern as we've completed would have what I would call a petal edge. This little edge that kind of drops down. If you look at some of the really basic parasols, which is what I'm going to be making this one into, I'm going to use a very plain tan colored cotton sateen for it. So it's going to be a very, very basic, everyday type parasol. If you look at one of those, probably the most often you'll see is this edge that curves up like this, which means I'm going to want to curve this up instead of down. Now I could put this on my pattern and see where it breaks at, but it's going to, when it stretches tight, it will break. I get it to hold at the right place. It will break not straight across like that, but it will break up from that just a little bit. If I measure the rib length, which on this one is 12.5 as opposed to the center of it, and on this one is about 10.5 to 10.75. You see there's about 2 inches of difference from the bottom to the break, the curve up break. That's what I'm going to guess is going to be about right. So, because I want this one to curve up, I don't want it excessively steep. I'll sit here and I'll play with it, and I'm going to be about 1/4 inch under there. I'll play with it till it looks like it'll be about the right curve. It takes kind of like a really thin eye shape out of it. So this green line will be my curve up, and I will probably want to add a narrow hem onto it. Sorry, it's a little bit wobbly. So now I will take a piece of tracing paper and trace out my pattern for this parasol. Okay, getting ready to trace my pattern out. I keep tracing paper on a pretty regular basis. Let's zoom this in a little bit, and sorry if it blurs, tilt it a bit. So I keep tracing paper pretty regularly. That's a weight. I will go here and trace on my outer line. Here we go, like this. trace down my center line because I am going to go back and fold this in half to double check to make sure I've got my pattern even because you don't want your pattern to be off kilter. So I'll go down and I'll fold it right on that center line and see if I got it even. And I can tell I didn't quite get it perfect, but it's not too bad. So what I will do is I will go and just simply cut my pattern off while I've got it folded neatly in half. Don't yell at me for using my fabric scissors on paper because these are my paper scissors. I have a sharpener that I use with them on a regular basis to keep them sharp so that they cut well. And I use them for paper and fabric. I do have pairs that are simply and basically for fabric only, but I am also a 4-H leader, and if I don't have a few pair of scissors that I can use for either, I'd go absolutely stark raving mad. So I'm going to label this. This is my 1870s Parasol plain stick ball handle. I may want it later. I might not. Then 1870s ball stick plain. Alright, what I am intending to cut this particular parasol out of is this brown cotton sateen. It's very wide, and right now it needs a good pressing. So I'm just going to kind of show you. We're going to, when we lay out our fabric, we're going to want to make sure that we are laying this mid section, not where the ribs will lie, but this middle section on the straight grain. If you start trying to fit the pieces in like this, the bias will cause it to pull off, and you've no longer got a nice stable across ways where the worst of the tension is. So then it starts pulling out of shape and causing you all sorts of problems with your parasol, the way it fits and the way it looks. So you'll want to measure up from your selvage edge and make sure that you've got that lined up on the straighter grain. Every piece. And I'll need 7 of these pieces. I'll need to cut 7 of these.